We welcome you to the 2018 USA Ultimate Club National Championships. It has been a thrilling weekend here in Southern California. We're in sunny San Diego, a weekend of history, the 50th anniversary of the sport. We've been reliving history, and now it's time to create some of it. Semifinal Saturday begins in the mixed division with DC Space Heater and the top seed Philadelphia Amp. These two mid-Atlantic rivals, if you can say that. Space Heater's only been around 1 year. The winner of this one will face the winner of Mixtape and Snake Country tomorrow in the final. We celebrate 50 years of Ultimate here at the USA Ultimate Championships. Hi, everybody. Evan Lepler, Annie and Toner. So much talk about the past and all the great players in the history of the sport who have congregated here in San Diego. But let's focus on the present. We've got a tasty matchup. Kind of a battle for the soul of the mixed division in a way. Space Heater and Amp, two teams that have come from very different directions.
That's right. Amp has been knocking on the door of a national championship for years. They're a building, established program in the mixed division. Space Heater comprised just this year of talents from the men's and women's divisions.
Space Heater's been the team that most people have really wanted to see. Just out of curiosity, what are they going to look like? It was the brainchild of Jenny Faye, Alan Kolick, and Sandy Jorgensen, three longtime superstars in DC women's and men's ultimate, respectively, and they've plucked some top players from all around the country to build this juggernaut in the semis in their first year. One of those players is Claire Desmond, a superstar on the USA World Games team.
Yeah, that's right. She's got a gold medal from last summer. She also has a gold medal from last fall, having won the USA Ultimate National Championship with Fury in the women's division. You're going to see her impacting the game more downfield, taking tough defensive matchups, and also dictating with her cutting in the lanes.
One team has the superstars, the other team is the super team. Amp has been building. They were so close, Ian, a year ago. Universe Point thriller against Mixtape. They were as close as you can get without winning. What's it going to take today against this juggernaut team from DC?
I think they're going to have to rely on the strength of their system and their program that has been building and providing greater cohesion over the years. But one new piece that could turn the table for them is Mr. Nicky Spiva, a World Games alternate. He's been a key facilitator and handler for this offense all weekend and all season long. You see his stat line there. He's been trusted with the keys to the offense in just his first year on the team.
Great familiarity between Nicky and some of the top players on DC Space Heater. Great familiarity between these two teams, frankly. They met twice during the season. Space Heater won the first matchup. Amp won the regional final. This one is for a spot in the national championship game, and it's next. The 2018 USA Ultimate National Championships are presented by VC Ultimate, providing Ultimate's best custom team uniforms and apparel since 1998. Visit VC Ultimate on the web at vcultimate.com. And by Discraft, the official disc of USA Ultimate, now available at Midwest Meyer stores and over 2,000 retailers nationwide. Starting lineup for DC Space Heater. This has largely been the O-line with Pat Trywise and Georgia Boschert. They are husband and wife from Madison, Wisconsin in years past. Joining DC, Claire Desmond from the West Coast. And Ted Seither was great for the University of Oregon this year. Zach Norbaum starting to come into his own as a young player as well. For Philly Amp, led by Patrick Sherlock, Rosso, Robinson, Bova, Walsh, Nardelli, DeSabato, and Eng. Amp is a deep team, probably the deeper team, but hey, these teams are laden with stars as well. And for more on the superstars we're getting ready to see on both teams, let's go down to the field level. Megan Tormey in the sun. How's it feel, Megan?
It's feeling really warm, Evan, and thank you so much. You know, we talked a little bit about Claire Desmond. We have to talk about Georgia Boschert. We were chatting with her last night, and she struggled to remember the number of times she has been crowned champion, either on the national or international stage. So the caliber of athlete on Space Heater is just phenomenal. It'll be interesting to see how these high-level players continue to coalesce as the pressure mounts here in the semifinals of the national championships.
Yeah, is this a World Games line or a Space Heater line? Sometimes it's hard to tell as you see Boschert and Desmond. They won national titles together with San Francisco Fury. They've won world championships together, and now looking for a mixed title. And it's interesting. Space Heater obviously has the 3 female World Games players. Talking with Patrick Sherlock, the coach of Philly Amp, before the game, he talks about, look, they have the World Games players. We have the World Games players who haven't been selected yet. He's talking about Carolyn Normile and Anna Thompson. He thinks Linda Morris has been one of the best female players in the mixed division. Raham Ozafari has tried out for World Games teams 3 different times, 09, 13, and 17. So despite the lack of headline prestige, he feels they can match up, and here we go. Amps in the white, Amps in the blue, I should say, and Space Heater in the white. Amp won the toss and chose to pull, and starting on D, there's Schreiwise making a tough grab. Space Heater wouldn't be here, Ian, without a heroic sky from Pat Schreiwise on Universe against BFG in the quarters.
Yeah, that was a nail-biter coming down to the wire. A real trust throw from Joe Freund to Schreiwise at the back of the stack. Not the most disciplined offensive decision, but it worked out for them.
Well, this Space Heater team, you know, they're still putting things together. They have a couple players that just met the start of this tournament. They've had a couple different practice weekends. The one main practice weekend they said it rained the whole time. Thankfully, it was raining at sectionals and regionals too, so it helped to prepare them. But there's the game's first turnover out of the reach of the bidding Desmond.
And you can see the Space Heater offense was kind of transitioning to a vertical stack as it got closer and closer to the red zone, and they were trying to break the mark, move that disc out wide, but that swing just too far for Desmond.
And Space Heater gets it right back. Amp a first throw giveaway. Careless, and Space Heater capitalizes. Scyther make it Norbaum hitting Schreiwise in the end zone, and the team that we're saying is from DC really feels like they're from all over the place. Leads 1-0.
And credit to Zach Norbaum there. He's really coming up through the ranks, made a name for himself on the D3 college scene this past year, leading the University of Mary Washington. And this is really an expert setup on this throw. He's got the disc up high, and he does kind of an expert shoulder shimmy to create that separation, rock the mark back on its heels, and then open up that inside lane. And a nice soft inside break there to Schreiwise to finish off the hold.
So one turnover
to see that
per side. Excuse me, Megan, go ahead.
We're going to see that a lot today. That trust is really what's going to continue the chemistry that we've seen Space Heater have so far.
I really can't say enough about the grab Schreiwise made in the biggest moment. Not only did he sky a couple guys on BFG, he also skied his teammate Alan Kolick. I asked Alan after the game, did you think Pat was going to get that sky? He said, no, I thought I was going to get it. Joe Freund, another young star on the pole for Space Heater, and here's a look at the Philly Amp offense. Nikki Spiva has been such an important piece for this group, and the Philly Amp is off to a very off-kilter start. And Spiva's on the sideline, Ian, for this first O-point of the semifinals. Standing at the 50-yard line, blue number 29. Cleaned it up. Not sure if there's anything injury related, but surprising to not see him on the field. Shocking, really.
Yeah, I wonder if it's got something to do with the team looking to play him when their offense is going a certain direction into the wind. We'll try and get some more information on that.
Philly Amp had their close game in bracket play in the pre-quarter round, needing a Universe point to get past Slow White. And in the quarters, Amp just crushed Dragon Thrust. And it was not nearly as close as we thought it was going to be. 2-0 Space Heater. A break capitalizing on the Amp mistake. Anthony McLean bids in the end zone for DC.
So it wasn't the prettiest offense after the turnover, and Space Heater certainly needed to swing the disc back and forth several times before the right window opened up. But you saw Adam Rady anchoring that offense, moving the disc back and forth, and finally that shot to the front corner of the end zone opening up. Again, I feel like a broken record saying this every time we get in the booth, but that front corner, that front cone, that's the most valuable real estate as a defender that you have to protect. You have to constantly be repositioning to be taking away that space for your mark.
So Rachel Hess, one of the 2 female teenagers on this Space Heater team, picks up the assist. There are an abundance of players on the Space Heater roster that Jenny Fay has either played with or coached. He's coached the high school program in Arlington, Virginia for many, many years. Rachel Hess, who's 18, and Kat Sands, who I believe at 17 is the youngest player in the tournament at Club Nationals 2018.
What a development opportunity for these young players to get an opportunity to share the field with, contribute with, and compete for a national championship alongside such generational talents like Schreiwise and Desmond and Boscher.
Spiva is on the field here for this 0 point, marked by his former truck stop teammate Alan Kolick. Kolick bouncing back from a MCL injury that denied him the 2017 club season by and large. There's Raha Mozaffari in her 13th year on AMP. She started in the mixed division as a teenager. And Spiva, who's kind of prided himself on his ability to play in the mixed division at the international level, picks up the assist up the line, Ben Peleg to get AMP on the board.
And that's just, you know, simple handler dominator offense, attacking that fourth sideline with aggressive upline cuts, trying to sell your cut all the way back as if you're going to get that reset, and then planting and going up the line. We saw Spiva beat Kolick, and then here we see Peleg beat Ryan Nam, who put forth a tremendous effort trying to block that disc, but not able to make the play, and Peleg hops into the end zone uncontested.
So AMP's O-line converts after getting broken once. Peleg the score, Spiva the assist. Winner of this game will face the defending national champions, Seattle Mixtape, a universe point victory over Boston Snake Country. The semifinals over at the Surf Cup complex, where the first couple days of this tournament have been. Mixtape awaits the winner of this one here.
And Evan, in our opening, we were talking about how this matchup feels like a battle for the identity of the mixed division as we take a look at Philadelphia AMP's road to the championship. They had some struggles in pool play despite being the #1 overall seed. They came out second out of their pool, losing to Blackbird. But they seem to find their form in bracket play, winning their pre-quarter and winning their quarterfinal in a convincing fashion over Minneapolis Dragon Thrust, one of the other great dynasties of the mixed division in this decade.
Dragon Thrust, the 3-time champ, won a world title in Italy as well. And the tournament came to an end yesterday. Of course, they're still playing pro flight qualifiers to get the start on next year. Desmond up the line into a tight space for Kyle Khalifa. And now Zach Norbaum, who was one of the early pickups for this Space Heater roster. The veteran said we needed an end to some of the young folks. So we got Norbaum on board, and he was helpful in getting Joe Freund and Cody Johnston. It's really an interesting mix of young and old on this roster. When we say old, we're talking late 20s, early 30s. And Pat Schreiwise at age 30, still at the top of his game. And there's Jenny Fay. It's hard to believe that her son Gus was born in May. Saw Gus on the sidelines. One of the reasons that this team came together, Jenny Faye and Alan Kolick, they've been childhood friends, went to high school together. Both Jenny and Alan's wife had children this past year, so they wanted to take a step back but still compete. They've always wanted to play together, and it's just amazing how this team has come together and kind of, I don't want to say taken the division by storm, but been this team full of mystique, and folks were wondering what they were going to look like here at Nationals, and of course here they are with a 3-1 lead in the semifinals against AMP.
And I think people had similar questions about Boston Snake Country as we talk about the other semifinal that took place on the mixed road to the national championship. And Mixtape, the defending national champion, just knocked off Snake Country, but that Snake Country squad was comprised of a lot of veterans of the single gender divisions, and they knocked down some established mixed programs on their way to the semifinals, but couldn't quite make it past Mixtape earlier this morning.
Snake Country, some of the great Ironside players from past, Slow White players, Brute Squad players. Their road comes to an end in the semifinals by the slimmest of margins. Nico Lake. And now Lake bursting to the end zone, and he comes down with it. Sandwich between defenders. It's Crystal Davis who took the worst of the collision. You like the decision, Ian?
I think whenever you've got a help defender peeling off over the top, it's not the right time to release the disc, and I'm not sure that Mott was aware of Davis lurking in the area, and you saw Lake go up. I don't think there's anything more Lake can do to avoid that contact. He's sprinting, chasing down the disc, goes straight up. That looks purely like incidental contact to me.
Courageous play from Davis, peeling off the stack to get there.
And it almost looked like when she landed, perhaps she hyperextended or locked her knee when she was coming back down to the turf.
So Lake picks up the score. Davis is okay. Crystal Davis won titles with Scandals, played with Denver Molly Brown as well. I mean, just the type of player who's kind of an afterthought on this roster with a superstar talent, but a really great player to have on your team for a lot of different reasons, on field and off field.
She's got the athleticism and the on-field IQ. She's got the experience and calm leadership, having been there and done that and won national championships before. Just another one of the great cross-country pickups for Space Eater.
Spiva's out there on D for AMP. He's matching up with Seither, although he hasn't been near him yet. There's Mozafari downfield. Anticipates the throw.
And I think Bosher was looking for Schreiwise streaking deep, but Schreiwise fell down as he planted to go there in the deep lane. Still a crowded lane to be releasing that throw through.
Here's Spiva. Over the top, Bosher peels off, and it doesn't matter. Great grab for AMP, and we're back on serve. Luke Ryan delivers the Philly score.
As we see Schreiwei's trip. I'm not sure if that was incidental contact or he just kicked the turf and lost his footing. But that's clearly who Bosher was shooting for. I'm not sure that would have connected even if Schreiwei's would have maintained his footing. Not quite the release Bosher wanted. And then Spiva, you know, you might say that this one hung more than he wanted, but I think he took a calculated risk knowing that Ryan has the size advantage, has the space advantage, and he can get there to that spot before Bosher can.
Let's go down to Megan.
We have talked so much about the individuals on Space Heater and their pedigree as Ultimate players, but there are a few individuals who represent the ethos and the identity of AMP more than Raha Mosafari. Very frequently, with her actions on the field, keeps her entire team in the game.
What are the conditions like down in the field right now, Megan?
So it's not terribly windy, but it is not consistent, which makes the wind tricky to continue to read simply because the wind can die down at any given moment.
I think a lot of folks were wondering how windy it would be here in San Diego, and I think it's fair to say certainly not as windy as it was last year in Sarasota or 2 years ago in Rockford.
That's right, and being out at the polo fields the last couple days, one day started out incredibly calm, one day started out a little more gusty. We also saw the wind shifting direction. None of those games were true upwind, downwind games. They were more crosswind games.
Space Heater, Ano, with Alan Kolick to Joe Freund. Claire Desmond streaking deep, now a huge gainer under, but the throw floats, and Desmond can't track it down. She ran into the stationary Normile. Let's see if there's a call.
We've got our observers mic'd up, so let's listen in here.
Yeah, like she just ran over him like this. Yeah, so that was a block until she just got away. She made no play on the disc whatsoever.
And we can tell from up here in the booth that Carolyn and Claire are appealing to other players.
So the observer ruling is yes, it was a foul. You weren't making a play on the disc. So observer ruling is it's a foul. It's White's disc right here.
We saw Desmond and Normile appealing to other players who had better perspective to weigh in. And it looks like Normile, the observers ruled that that was a blocking foul because Normile wasn't making an effort to make a play on the disc. But that's a really difficult call because you could also argue that she was making a play on the disc and simply holding her position and boxing out, maintaining ground as the disc came in overhead.
Cody Johnston dishes the score to Kelly Highland, and Space Heater quickly capitalizes. I'm with you, Ian. I don't know about that ruling. Space Heater now 4 for 4 in the red zone and leads 4-3.
Evan, Ian, a quick update on Crystal Davis. She did indeed hurt her knee as she was making that defensive play. It is unclear at this point whether she will return to the game.
Megan, appreciate it.
So we get another look at this, and I don't think anyone's debating that there was contact because that clearly occurred. I think the question is whether or not Normile was making a legitimate play on the disc as she was playing defense.
Do you need to be making a play on the disc if you're just standing there? To avoid a foul?
If I was listening into the observer discussion correctly, if you're not making a play on the disc, then it can be construed as a blocking foul.
Heard the whispers chirping about basketball rules, and well, if it was basketball, it'd be a foul, and 50 years in, we're still trying to figure out the rules. And obviously, like any sport, a lot is up to interpretation. Up the line and an easy conversion for Amp. Sean Mott in the end zone.
Pretty smooth offensive point there for the Amp offense. And that's another offensive possession from this Amp squad where we're not seeing Nikki Spiva heavily involved. And the more we see this, the more I'm inclined to say that the Amp coaching staff is making a decision to use Spiva specifically when the Amp offense is going in a more upwind direction, just because of his throwing prowess and his ability to stretch the field despite the headwinds.
Basically, he's on the field now to pull. When Amp's going right to left, Spiva is more important. Nico Lake anchoring things the other way. Spiva's played for Truck Stop and Chain Lightning and Tanasi out of Nashville. College ultimate at Colorado College. Spent a year at McGill in Montreal as well. Jenny Fay looking for Bosher, and near the sideline has the room. Jenny Fay and Georgia Bosher were teammates at Junior Worlds back in 2004 in Finland. That disc floating. Desmond gets on the ground but can't get the disc.
Second turnover of the game for Yoshin there. The first throw was a little tougher. We saw that break throw going off the hands of Desmond, but this one was just a miss.
Spiva going deep. That's caught. Amp now up a break as Ryan runs it down.
And you see Bosher with acres of space. And that throw from Yoshin just off the mark. Desmond with the heroic second effort trying to save possession. And that is exactly why Spiva is on the field for this point. They're going into a slight headwind, and he can still master the flight of the disc and shoot deep and stretch the field.
Charles with the score for Amp. And a great read to haul it in. So Amp had turnovers in on the first 2 points of the game, fell behind 2-0. Since then, Amp has no turns. Shino Yoshin has 2. And that's now 2 breaks for Space Heater compared to for Amp compared to 1 for Space Heater. By the way, where did the name Space Heater come from? Not actually a great story. They were just sitting around Alan Kolik's living room, and there was a space heater, and they were throwing out names, and they didn't want to be damp. They almost were damp.
Nobody likes
damp versus Amp.
Nobody likes damp.
They thought about Swamp City, but there was a beach nationals team that some of their friends played for that was Swamp City. So, Space Heater it was. And their team bio is all about space heaters and nothing about Ultimate. About convection and heat and hot air and, you know, the type of bio you'd expect from an Ultimate team.
Well, a lot of players in the Ultimate community are really creative with their team names and using puns and other forms of wit. And I just have to say, this Amp squad, I faced off against the men at the Beach National Championships.
Joe Freund laying out in the end zone. Hauls in the Jenny Fay flick to tie it at 5.
What a grab by Freund. Just to finish the earlier thought, the men's Amp squad called themselves ampersand while they competed on the beach. I thought that was pretty clever. And it looks like Space Heater is taking a timeout here, trying to recollect themselves and find a way to get this break back. All 5 Space Heater goals so far have come in the red zone. This offense finding success when they're able to march it down the field. And a lot of coaches really struggle to get their teams to be efficient and successful at converting in the red zone.
Joe Freund, Arlington product. Jenny Fay coached him in high school. Still playing at Virginia Tech, just 20 years old. He looks older than 20, and he plays like it too. Both Freund and Ted Seither, DC area guys who are 20, who the leaders of this team say are old souls, super mature, especially on the field with their decision making, and that's not something you necessarily see with young players.
Yeah, there's only so many reps these guys have had at such a high competitive level. I know Freund had some experience with Truck Stop, and he was a central piece on the Virginia Tech burn squad the last few years. Seither, as we saw and were fortunate enough to call, was such a key part of that Ego offense at the college championships earlier this year. And it usually takes some younger players, you know, a few times to find their footing in these big national championship settings. But it's clear that these guys have been around the block. They've amassed so many reps at the youth level that they're coming in more confident and more prepared for the moment.
Good to see Alan Kolick out on the field. His son Otto was born last December. Although, is he still his son? There was a tweet from the Space Heater account that suggests, I mean, of course he's still his son, but Space Heater, after their game yesterday, tweeted from the account, under team bylaws, Pat Schreiwise replaces Alan as captain and will now raise baby Otto Kolick as his own. Those are the rules. Speaking facetiously after Schreiwise guide so many, including Kolick, on Universe Point against BFG. Pick called, collision there between Highland and Mozafari as well.
Amp starting with a little better field position after Kolick's flick pull sailed out of bounds ahead of the brick mark.
Another pick. I'm curious to get your thoughts. Well, they're calling a stall. Hold that thought for a moment.
Stalls roll first, so if it's a stall, it's a turnover, so turnover and a pick. It's a turnover. Okay. All right, do you guys want to contest it? All right, we have a stall and a contest. So either way, regardless of the pick, it comes back on 8. Yep. Yep, comes in. All right, are you guys good with your positioning here? In at 8.
The pick doesn't affect the count.
Sorry, my apologies. 6. 6. Hold on, Brad, come here. Brad. All right, Brad. Is it 6 or 8?
Evan, Ian,
I thought it was 8, but I think it was 8. But I heard both ways.
make sure that the count came in correctly, because the pick does affect how this stall count, or the stall call comes out.
We're just standing up here shaking our heads, Megan.
Pick is 6. 6.
I can
and
see it now,
6.
Evan.
Final answer.
Mozafari's disc. And a quick reset to Spiva. You've watched Spiva and Kolek a lot. You played against them in the men's division. Two of the top players, top 10, top 15 of the past few years. How do they match up with each other, and who has the advantage?
I feel like Kolek can be the more surprising and baiting underneath defender. I feel like Spiva has the edge when it comes to deep shots and power throwing. Kolek is a great mark breaker as well in his own right. But those are the two things that stick out to me when I'm thinking about these guys matching up against each other.
Really nice help from Jorgensen downfield. Kolek had lost Spiva, and Jorgensen peeled off, and a few throws later, it creates a turnover. First turnover since the score was 1-0 from Amp.
You saw Spiva selling out there, just completely moving his feet and exposing one side of the field to prevent Kolek from releasing that huck after he picked up.
Good bid. Jorgensen feels like she had it first.
And that's one of those World Games players of the future matchups you were talking about. Jorgensen matched up against Morse.
Boscher throws it away on the goal line. Timeout called by Spiva, so that's now 4 turnovers in the game for Space Heater, 2 from Yoshin and 2 from Boscher.
Well, this is one of the challenges of being a first-year team that doesn't necessarily practice quite as much. It's clear that there was not a lot of cohesion and understanding of the default end zone set. You had Kolek in the area, you had other players crowding that front corner, and when you don't know exactly what the playbook is, where you're supposed to look for that reset, chaos can ensue and turnovers like that occur.
Talking to player coach Fred Wolf before the game, I asked him, what would Space Heater do if they felt like the game started to go not the way they intended? And he said the thing they can always lean on is increasing defensive intensity. So I expect we can see that start to happen with Space Heater now as the game remains 5-5.
Yeah, it's interesting on a team like this. Do you have a coach? Do you worry about having too many cooks in the kitchen, too many voices who feel like they know what's best, who's been leaders of teams in big moments? And I mean, multiple veterans on the team have said it's been really good. People kind of know their role, working good together, and Fred Wolf has been Jenny Fay's co-coach at the YCC level with DC Rogue, who won silver medals the past couple of years at YCCs. And that long shot ripped away by David Boylan-Colchin. Jorgensen keeps possession alive. Looking for Boscher in the end zone. Georgia, back line, keeps it in for the Space Heater score. And that's a break for DC. We're back on serve at 6-5.
Well, great defense there by David Boylan-Colchin, better known as Duke in the Ultimate community. You see him taking the inside route, boxing out Mott, attacking the disc early. Jorgensen saves possession, and then the deep shot to Boscher up the break side. So tough for the downfield defender Shields to have any chance when that disc goes up the break side.
Pretty good rip here from Kelly Highland. Previously played with DC Scandal and New York Bent. 30 years old from New Jersey, finding Boscher. Georgia was exposed to Frisbee when she was like in first grade. Her older siblings played. Callahan Award winner at the University of Wisconsin and a many-time world champ and national champ. Games to 15, half is at 8. Soft cap will go on after 85 minutes as Nico Lake fires deep. This one floating perfectly. 6-all.
That's Michael Panna with plenty of separation on Eric Salmi in the deep lanes. The stall count was rising. It wasn't exactly a cleanly developed cut. But a great opportunistic rip there by Nico Lake, and you can tell that Nico's shot was helped by that slight downwind at his back, making that 60-yard deep shot look absolutely effortless and get there quickly. So Amp's offense has been a little more diverse than Space Heaters so far. 2 of their scores have come from deep shots on hucks. 2 of them have been from more mid-range shots. And then 2 have come from inside the red zone. You compare that to the Space Heater offense, 5 of their scores inside the red zone. 1 of them coming from a deep shot.
Hey, Nard.
Well, this is the first of 4 semifinals that we will bring you today on ESPN 3. Coming up after this one, Ring and Revolver in the men's division. Winner battling for the right to face Pony, who knocked off Sockeye by 1 earlier today. And then a doubleheader of women's semis this evening. And we knew what the matchups were going to be weeks ago, Ian, in the women's division. Brute Squad, Molly Brown, and Fury Riot. As Pat Triwise makes the tough catch and comes up lame.
And I'll tell you what, Shino Yoshin just does not look comfortable out there for this Space Heater offense. It looks like Claire Desmond was open underneath and she got looked off, and then that throw to Triwise a little higher, I'm sure, than she wanted. Be a little bit off the mark.
Freund replaces Triwise. And launches. Welcome back to the point. And it's incomplete. Well defended by Stephen Ing. 5th turnover of the game for Space Heater. We're on serve at the moment. Each team has 2 breaks. Desmond's big bid. Couldn't get there. And now into the wind. Freund makes amends. Deflects the deep shot intended for Ryan.
And you can see the upwind challenge as that deep shot hung a lot more and gave Freund the chance to make up ground and make a play on that disc.
Fade to Desmond. Norbaum, low throw, hovers to Seither. And here's Yoshin. Couple turnovers already. This one complete for Norbaum, and there's a pick downfield, and it's coming back. And as we look downfield, would you say that 2018 is the year of the renaissance of the straight stack?
Yeah, I think the center stack's been making a comeback for a few years now, but
that's because you play for Bravo.
Exactly, and it's fully in vogue with several other teams using it more frequently. You know, I think earlier in the decade, teams really just relied on it as an end zone set.
Yep.
Something to make space on both sides and give end zone or red zone throwers wide force and break lanes, but teams have come to adopt it even further away from the red zone across all divisions.
Tough grab by Highland. And into the tight space, it's Desmond near that front pylon for the score.
And that's the most emotion we've seen from Desmond so far this game. She's usually...
Claire Desmond has battled back through several injuries as well. Got back to the top of the women's ultimate world last year in Sarasota. And if you can be both a calming presence and a fiery inspiration, I think Claire Desmond somehow is in the Venn diagram of both of those things. That's a hold for Space Heater, each team with one turn on the point. Kelly Highland has been involved in 3 of the 7 Space Heater scores.
Yeah.
Thought about the deep shot. Feeds underneath. Sean Mott, marked by Joe Freund. And here's Spiva just across midfield. Here we go. Into traffic. Mott floating over everyone.
It looks like Mott came down hard, thought he was going to get that plant foot to catch him, but it looked like he slipped. A little contact there with Freund, but and that contact does appear as, it appears like the contact occurs as Mott is nearing the peak of his jump. I don't think there's an argument that that was uncatchable based on this replay. Not sure if we can listen into the observer microphones down on the field.
He still had it. So, observer ruling is it's a foul. It's Blues desk here. Also an injury sub. Yes. Yes, the sub has an.
Take another look.
She was still going up when you hit him.
If the observer saw, Ian, what you saw. If a player's fingertips are within inches of the disc, you can't rule it uncatchable, can you?
I think Mitch Dangler would agree with that.
So it'll be Amp's disc on the goal line. And that was too easy. Georgia Boscher fell asleep.
And you see Joe Freund is still pleading his case to the observer there at the bottom of the frame. Really upset and trying to understand that call.
So we got a point to take half. Each team has broken twice in this first half. Amp, the #1 seed in the tournament,
the Mid-Atlantic Regional Champs. They beat Space Heater in the regional final, but it was after both teams had already qualified for nationals. And Carolyn Normile, special young player. She's had a great year, first leading the University of Pittsburgh women's team all the way to the semifinals at college nationals this past Memorial Day weekend. I think she's taken more and more responsibility on the SAMP team as well. And you think about last year, who was the young superstar? Well, it was Anna Thompson, who was going into her junior year at the University of Pennsylvania. She was so great in the finals, great throws, great bids. This year, it's been an uneven year for Thompson. She had the injury from playing so much that limited her at U24s in Australia. And then she's had a back injury that has limited her. And she was on the field warming up. She's playing today. Asked her before the game, are you close to 100%? Are you just good enough to go? And she said, I'm good enough to go. And she kind of smiled, and she's giving it everything she can. She's just a senior, Thompson, at University of Pennsylvania, 21 years old.
And you look at all the other women who've stepped up for this AMP squad throughout this year. We talked about Linda Morse really coming into her own, one of those players that Coach Patrick Sherlock highlighted. We've also got Raha Mozaffari, the longtime talent in the mixed division. So much depth that this team is able to rely on.
Here's Kolick on the under. Looking to the end zone, bidding and scoring. Space Heater takes it to half. Kelly Highland has been unreal.
Well, that's the vision that Alan Kolick brings to the game. Just when you think he's about to set up and step across his body with a backhand release, he kind of manipulates his mark, doesn't really reveal his true vision, and just takes that step back with his left foot.
You can see the start of Highland's cut. She had the reset and then took off, timed it well, beat her defender, Mozaffari,
and you know,
lays out.
Having played against Allen, that's just absolutely the toughest thing when you are marking him. You think you've got a solid mark up against him, and then he just takes that slight step back with his left hand, with his left foot, and he releases that around flick at an angle that you don't think is possible, that you think you've already shut off, and he finds a way to get it there.
"30-year-old Kelly Highland involved in half of Space Heater's scores to give them an 8-7 halftime lead. The first of 8 halves of Ultimate today on ESPN3. As close as it gets, 8-7. Space Heater leads AMP. Winner gets mixtape in tomorrow's final at Nationals.
What would it look like if a competitive sport didn't mean a choice between beauty and brutality, style and steel, between calling yourself out and clawing to stay in? What if there was a game that found balance between spirit and sport, agony and elation, like a disc dancing on air?
We now have evolved into a team sport of a game called Ultimate. It stands by itself in that it is like no other game.
Between perfect passes and devastating drops, like the balance we so desperately needed, we had no choice but to create it ourselves. Long live grit and grace. Long live Ultimate.
How you doing?
Our coverage of the first mixed semifinal continues here at USA Ultimate National Coverage. I'm joined by AMP coach Patrick Sherlock. Patrick, you must be pleased with how the defense has been limiting Space Heater's offense. What was the message to the D-line going into this game?
We were going to try a couple different things, and we just wanted to have concentration on whichever strategy was that point, so we could see what worked and then develop things for the second half. So we tried a variety of things, and we executed them all like we wanted. We made sure that if they scored, it was on the terms that we set. So I was happy with that.
Offensively, you guys have been taking the shots that Space Heater is giving you. It seems to be working well. What's the message to the team going into the second half to try and take things away?
Well, we're just going to keep creating opportunities, and we want to attack and have fun. And we know scores come from attacks. We're not just trying to get the distance in the end zone. We're trying to work with each other and have a good time collaborating and create some fun stuff.
And whose voice do you listen to in the halftime huddle? Who's going to help AMP remember the identity of this team so that you come out full force in the second half?
We have leadership from every single person. What we just talked about in our huddle there was to concentrate on each other and to interact through this halftime and through the entire second half. And to get a little bit more movement on our sidelines so that we could get information into each other, motivation, and just enjoy playing with each other. This is one of the last chances to play together this year, win or lose, and we want to enjoy every moment.
All right, well, go enjoy the halftime huddle and the second half. Best of luck to you.
You as well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And we'll be back with the interview with the Space Heater coach coming up.
We are on serve at the half in the first game of our quadruple header of semifinal coverage on ESPN 3 at the 2018 Nationals, the 50th anniversary celebration of the sport, which was originally found in AMP Luke Ryan's hometown, Maplewood, New Jersey, in 1968. We expect to chat with some of the founding fathers of the sport throughout the day as our coverage continues. Let's take a look at some of the first half highlights, Ian Toner. Space Heater jumped out to a 2-0 lead pretty easily, and then AMP tied it up 3-3, and then we basically just traded back and forth, both teams making plays.
Yeah, we talked about the difference in their offense's striking capability. Early on, Space Heater's first 5 goals came from attacking positions inside the red zone. You compare that with Philadelphia AMP, they mixed it up with a little bit of everything. They were able to score from short range inside the end zone, as we saw this shot from Spiva to Pellig opening things up. And again, just another look here at Space Heater's discipline in the red zone. They were very efficient early on and valuing those shots. Schweiwise shooting into the end zone for Feng.
That made it 3-1. And then Nico Lake colliding with Crystal Davis in the end zone for the score that made it 3-2. And then right after that, the break. Nikki Spiva has been good in both directions. Going over the top here to find Luke Ryan. That tied it at 3. Space Heater continuing to move the disc. And one thing we'll have to think about as we head to the second half, aside from will Kelly Hyland continue to do what she's doing, is Pat Schweiwise okay? He limped off the field. He's an important player for this Space Heater team.
That's right. He's someone who's been starting on their offense. He's often an initiating cutter and someone who they'll look to get the offense going, as we saw the ability of the AMP offense to stretch the field here. That's exactly why Nikki Spiva was on the field anchoring the offense for those upwind points. Able to hit those deep shots and connect on a dime. And speaking of deep shots, here's a look at Hyland's backhand rip. She really does love that backhand onto the back line, finding Bosher.
That gave Space Heater a 6-5 lead. AMP comes right back. Lake to Panna. 6-all. And then Space Heater Kelly Highland again getting open and then finishing the point.
And here was another contested call here. Joe Freund, I'm sure he acknowledged that he made impact, but I'm judging by what we were able to glean from that observer conversation, we could tell that he was not happy with the call, as you see him immediately put his hands up and start walking over and talking to the observer. I think his argument was that the disc was uncatchable at the time of contact. And then here, we hadn't heard much from Alan Kolick so far in the game, but at the most critical moment we've seen so far, with halftime on the line, he comes out with this visionary breakthrow through traffic. Nobody's able to get a hand on it. He puts it right on the money in the end zone.
Or on serve, it's a virtual tie. Has one team been more impressive to you in this first half?
I think they're evenly matched. The program and the group put together just for this year.
We asked, will there be a Space Theater in 2019? Jenny Fay said, that's a good question. We'll see. See about the second half first, though. In a one-score game on serve in the semifinals.
We're still at halftime in the mixed semifinal. I'm joined now by player coach Fred Wolf from Space Heater. Fred, the individuals on your team, certainly no stranger to pressure on a very important stage. How are people feeling going into this second half?
Yeah, that's one of the great things about this team is that everyone's so experienced. We don't really have to talk a lot about our mental game. Everybody trusts themselves. Everybody at this point trusts each other, which is really building over the weekends. And so I feel like we're in a really good place in a tight stadium game.
You and fellow coach Jenny Fay helped found this team, and you really credit Jenny Fay to making sure that the team stays positive. She's going to be giving the halftime speech. What's it like listening to her amp up the team?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I take no credit for this. It's entirely Jenny. Everybody on this team is here because they're friends of Jenny. Jenny likes them. She's like a mother to all of us. So she's really the most respected voice in Ultimate, I think. Nobody could have put this team together except her. And she's going to say exactly what she needs to say.
All right, well, thank you very much. Good luck in the second half. Evan, back to you.
Thank you.
Like it. Jenny Fay amping up her team at the half. Trying to get to a mixed final, it's a good strategy. Take a look at the scoring summary. Kelly Highland was really the story of that first 15 points.
Yeah, 2 goals, 2 assists, a powerful backhand, and understanding the vision of her throwers, cutting to those break lanes in the deep spaces.
Nikki Spiva with 3 assists for AMP. And I was chatting with Patrick Sherlock, the coach of AMP, before the game, asking him about how much they want Nikki Spiva to do on the field. Because there are times when he has carried them. And he said, look, I said to Nikki yesterday, there are times we need you to be a star and carry us. And in the second half against a team like this, it seems like one of those times.
It certainly feels like it, but I really like the discipline from Sherlock and the leadership in not making their offense entirely one-dimensional, using the depth of their talent and relying on Spiva to kind of even out the playing conditions and the pitch and use him when they need a powerful upwind thrower so they can stretch the field in a way that only a few throwers like Spiva can in those conditions.
Deep shot goes up quickly. Looking for Morse. That floats all the way into the end zone. Calvin Trissolini with a dime. And it's 8-all.
And I want to see more of this matchup as this game goes on. Sandy Jorgensen marking up on Linda Morse. Jorgensen, the World Games veteran, the established national champion. And Morse getting separation deep. We saw Morse incredibly close to a layout block on a shot to Jorgensen in the red zone earlier in the first half. And frankly, I was surprised to see Jorgensen not even pursue all the way until the last step. I'm not sure if she had a great read on the disc as it was coming in over her head at such an awkward angle. And another great thing to see here as we take a look at that replay is Crystal Davis was back out on the field. She had left earlier in the first half with that knee injury after Nico Lake made that grab in traffic. So it's good to see Davis back out there contributing.
Pat Trywise also back on the field for Space Heater. He's awaiting this pull on the O-line as Trissalini, who's an important guy for AMP to get back, missed the World Championships with injury. Look at the Space Heater 7 with Norbaum, Trywise, Fay, Boscher, Seither, and Desmond. Highland out there as well. Norbaum goes with the Scuba. And here's Trywise, looking no worse for wear. Desmond.
This stack from the Space Heater squad is really, really, really deep, almost stranding the Space Heater handlers. So much space for the AMP defenders to stay underneath, but it looks like they've finally broken through around midfield.
There's certainly times when you see groups of great players come together. A lot of national teams deal with this, where players almost try too hard not to play hero ball. And because of that, they can be a little tentative and may not make the necessary choices they would usually make if they were on their own club teams being looked at as the guy.
Yeah, I think back to some of the interviews that...
Desmond into the end zone for Highland.
I think back to some of the great interviews that a coach like Alex Gastier, better known as Dutchie, who currently coaches DC Scandal, a team that lost in the quarterfinals to Riot. I think back to some of the interviews he's given, and he talks about some of those first practices that he's had when he's tried to get the national team squad together. And everyone's a little bit hesitant. They don't want to take up too much real estate. They're not entirely sure if, hey, is this what you're looking for here? Is this my moment to cut? And it's a credit to a coach like him and these squads that have come together in such a short period of time when they're able to put those pieces together and solve that offensive puzzle.
Highland making a name for herself in this mixed semifinal. (9-8), we are on serve. Again, the winner will face Seattle Mixtape, last year's Triple Crown champion, who had a different 2018 season, Ian. They struggled on day one at the US Open, putting the Triple Crown repeat hope to bed. Leadership on Mixtape talked about how people say it's hard to repeat. They understand now, but here they are back in the finals. Will it be a rematch with AMP, or will it be the new phenomenon in the mixed division, Space Heater?
Spiva's got the disc unmarked. We saw him take a few extra steps there after he caught that disc. And this is a great matchup here with Kolik, as you mentioned earlier, his former teammate who knows him so well.
You don't become great without being a little savvy. Tough grab there. Kelsey Devlin.
We're gonna see.
And the deep shot goes up, floats over the defender and perfectly finds Trissalini in the end zone. Cody Johnston had no chance, and we're tied at 9.
Not sure if that disc caught a little tuft or gust of wind, as Mozafari kind of sized that up. Oh yeah, that does catch a, you can see the disc was starting to descend and lose elevation, and then it just catches that exposed edge, just catches a gust and comes underneath. And to continue the earlier thought, Devlin had that fantastic grab. We're going to see her sister, a member of the Molly Brown squad, battling Brute squad in the women's semifinal, the first of two later this afternoon.
That'll be our third game of the day. Trissolini had a huck and then catches the score. Well, back when Space Heater was first created, people started hearing whispers about it in the spring. Folks wondered, would this game take place in the Mid-Atlantic Regional Final, perhaps as a quasi-national title game? Remember, because at the time, we thought maybe the Mid-Atlantic would only get one bid. And while these teams did meet in that regional final, it was somewhat inconsequential because both teams had already locked up their nationals berths, with the Mid-Atlantic getting 3 bids to the dance. So Spiva nicked it, but Schreiweiss caught it anyway. Here's Norbaum, bluffs the huck. Underneath, Yoshin. Active mark of Morse, double dump. There's Norbaum. Looks off Schreiweiss up the line, takes the reset. Seither to Desmond. Here's Highland. Everyone's touched the disc this point for Space Heater except Jenny Fay, who's just chilling at the back of the stack.
And that's
now making the cut to the open side, and there was a pick called.
And that's great goal line defense there from Spiva on Schreiweiss. Schreiweiss dancing back and forth, trying to get that little separation, but it looks like the pick call is either retracted or overturned, and that's going to be a goal for Space Heater.
They'll take it.
So we take a look back earlier in the possession. Desmond with the disc around midfield and resetting to Schreiweiss with an active Nikki Spiva, nearly getting his paw on that disc.
So the second goal for Fay. That's now 6 straight points with no turnovers. No turns so far in the second half. Only 5 turnovers in the game for each team. On serve at 10-9.
Mounting on the sideline, both teams letting out a collective exclamation on those back-to-back plays. Raha's throw to the end zone, the nearly tipped disc that Schreiweiss caught. Everyone here on the sideline, both teams are waiting to see which team can gain the upper hand in this back-and-forth battle.
And back on offense. Trissolini thought about it. Near the sideline, Mozaffari was thinking about inbounds and she could not secure possession with Davis right behind her. Kolek to Jorgensen. Anthony McLean. Scuba, turnover.
Little miscommunication there with Freund. I think he thought Freund was going to angle his cut backwards. But Freund looked to keep his line even and attack that upfield space. Not the first dump miscommunication turnover we've seen from this Space Heater squad that hasn't practiced much so far this year.
Let's talk about just how this whole tournament has gone. Philly Amp and DC Space Heater both suffered losses in pool play. Space Heater still able to win their pool on point differential because after losing to Mischief on Universe, they just blew past Mixtape 15-9, closing that game on a massive rally. That gave Space Heater the bye into bracket play where they struggled against BFG. Meanwhile, Amp came through the pre-quarters, having to play the extra game in their pre-quarter against Slow White, went down to the wire. Amp prevailed on Universe, gliding past Dragon Thrust. I asked a couple folks, what was the difference? How do you guys barely get past Slow White and then just demolish Dragon Thrust? Didn't get a whole lot of specifics. They said they trusted their marks more. They did a good job of pressuring the unders. It felt just everything clicked, and Patrick Sherlock said, look, we're always trying to improve. You know, we care much more about improving than we do about the score. He felt that they improved on Friday compared to how they played on Thursday. Consequently, he hopes they're continuing to move in the right direction today.
This is no disrespect to your reporting. It just sounds like a bunch of coach speak to me.
And here's Trissolini firing deep out of the timeout, floating into the end zone. Kolick can't get there. Pana ties it at 10.
Well, Pana may not be the biggest name or the biggest cutter in stature on this roster, but his speed and agility and acceleration can't be overlooked because they've proven deadly for this Amp offense so far in this game. That's not the first time he's been able to sneak deep in the deep lanes and come down with a deep shot. These Amp throwers like Trissolini and Lake are understanding how to use the wind at their back to their advantage and put that disc out there for Pana to attack and score.
And it's worth mentioning again that Amp's offense has remained very agile, and they are taking the shots as they see them. So we've seen long puts to the end zone. We've also seen quick dishes right outside of the end zone. I think Amp is doing a great job of maintaining offensive momentum by moving the disc wherever that open option is.
Megan Tormey reporting down on the field as Nikki Spiva launches the pull. Become a game to 5. Still 17 minutes away from soft cap. Ooh, that was a low hovering throw that just barely reached his target, Khalifa, but Spiva takes it away. Taking his time. Timeout. Stall count was high. Last timeout for Philly. 10-all, second half. Looking for the first break of the second half. Spiva will have it on the goal line.
Khalifa just locked onto that dump so early. Spiva using his speed to get there and intercept things in the backfield, but credit to the Space Heater defense for recovering quickly after the turnover. There were a couple of switches that were required to take away those early options in the stall count for Spiva.
Every year at Nationals, Ian, it feels like the margin in bracket play throughout the tournament, you have 1 or 2 or even 3 close calls to get to the finish line. Each of these teams have already had that. Amp in the pre-quarters, Space Heater in the quarters. Each of these teams had a Universe point loss in pool play to a Bay Area mixed team. Amp losing to Blackbird, Space Heater to Mischief by 1. Spiva, marked by Shrywise. Needs the reset. End zone, inbounds. Amp takes the lead.
And that's the end zone offense, the discipline that they wanted to utilize coming out of the timeout. Dumping, swinging, resetting.
Patience from Spiva here, and Morris, was she bobbling the disc? Oh, goodness. Yeah, that was not a catch, and Amp catches a gigantic break. Yikes.
And I don't know what that facial expression is there. You see, it's a little more than a smile, perhaps some recognition that maybe she knows she didn't catch that in bounds. I don't want to speculate too much, but certainly suspect.
In and out are called by the observers. I mean, that's absolutely not a catch. And it's a rough miss by everyone, us included when we watched it live.
I mean, there's also some responsibility on the player there. If we do all abide by the honor code of spirit of the game and are supposedly playing with sportsmanship, Morse has been around enough games and enough fields and enough high-pressure situations to understand that that clearly was not a catch.
It stands. Amp with the first break of the second half. Tough reset for Kolick. Johnston. Try-wise. This is basically the universe line right here for Space Heater, the universe O-line. If it was a universe D-line, they'd play Jorgensen instead of Fay. The other six are basically these six: Johnston, Kolick, Try-wise, Bosher, Desmond, Fay. Kolick, was he in?
It looks like Mitch Dangler is clarifying that his toe was in the end zone. Kolick just taking over and going every other when his team needs it the most. And we see him such a creative thrower.
Tight space throw from Try-wise.
And a throw that was certainly helped by going in that upwind direction. Because if he's going downwind, an inside-out throw to that lane falls to the turf a lot quicker. But you could see with that front edge of the disc exposed and the underside able to catch a gust, that disc is able to hang and rise as it progresses closer and closer to the end zone.
Try-wise picks up the assist, ties us at 11. That was touched. Center to Trissolini.
Trissolini involved in 3 of Amp's 4 second-half goals.
Sandy Jorgensen ensures that Linda Morris has no play.
And it looked like Jorgensen did swat that disc so that that disc is going to have to come in on the end zone cone, and it will not come in further upfield where it may have crossed the out-of-bounds boundary.
Kolick picks up, swings it for Boylan Colchin. Those two teammates for a long time on truck stop. Here's Allison Maddox, key player for Scandal during their championship years. Jorgensen near the sideline, and Freund keeps it in bounds. To Highland, Space Heater churning up yards. Jorgensen. Oh, she had Freund. When in doubt throw, find Kolick, who cheekily floats the elevator pass to Maddox.
Normile so close to a block.
And Highland converts in the end zone. Kolick again every other down the stretch. And that's a break to put Space Heater on top by 1.
Well, now we see when the screws get tighter, when the pressure mounts, Space Heater's going to rely on Kolick to quarterback the offense. And how about the impact that Highland has had for Space Heater as well? 2 assists this game, and that's her 4th goal. On a squad filled with World Games gold medalists and national champion women, the likes of Desmond and Jorgensen and Boscher and Fay. Highland's making a case to be the most impactful woman in this national semifinal.
I think without a doubt, and a lot of that could be reputation. The focus is on the others. She's good enough to take over. On the World Games 2017, Boscher, Desmond, and Jorgensen all representing Team USA. They lost their first game in Wrocław, Poland, but they won the tournament, avenging their loss to the Colombian team in the finals. This was last summer in Poland. And later today, Ian, we will see 3 members of Revolver who were on that USA World Games team last year. 3 of the traveling group. We talk about George Stubbs, Grant Lindsley, Nick Stewart. The Pony team has 3 World Games players who will be in the finals tomorrow, already qualifying with a Universe win against Sockeye. Mickle, Kocher, and Kittredge. There's a lot of team building that goes into Ultimate. There's a lot of culture. There's a lot of strategy. There's a lot of many different things. It also can boil down to talent.
And Kittredge has taken on such a different role for this Pony squad. The coaching staff, Ben Van Hoevelen and Brian Jones, have tried to utilize him as a D-line weapon, whereas for most of his career, he's been that feared O-line receiver that you have to account for at all times.
He had a nice 30-yard flick or so for a key break late in the quarterfinal against Machine. Game Pony trailed 11-9 and won 13-11.
Low-nose throws.
Amp trails by 1. Anna Thompson.
Spiva starting downfield.
She launches. Spiva has steps. That's what we saw last year from Anna Thompson. And we're tied at 12s.
And just defensively, I'm really not sure what mark this Space Eater team was trying to set, because Anna Thompson was unmarked for so long. You give a thrower like that no pressure, she's gonna find anywhere on the field with all that time.
Seen this from some teams across multiple divisions, putting players that you would consider the quarterback of the offense, starting them downfield. Whether it's Alex Snyder with Fury or Jonathan Nethercutt with Ring, or in this instance, Nicky Spiva with Amp.
Yeah, enables them, if the preceding throws are able to work out according to plan, it gives that quarterback the disc in motion, in flow, and with more space downfield, and opens up more of their arsenal after things have already gotten started. If Nethercutt gets the first 10-yard under, 10 yards outside his end zone, or Spiva does, you know that their next 60 yards are still a viable option.
Thompson telling me before the game, it's been a frustrating year dealing with the injuries, battling back, having setbacks. But a beautiful backhand to tie it at 12s. Seither catches the pull, and not the easiest of, quote, centering passes, unquote. Norabaum to Bosher. Up the line to Schreiwise. And Desmond. Another instance, Jenny Fay has often been the quarterback of the Space Heater O-line. She's been playing downfield primarily these last couple of points. Oh, that was a dangerous reset throw, but Seither came to the disc. Floater to Bosher. Over the top. Fay reads it, drops it. The lead slips through Space Heater's fingers. And now Amp has 70 yards.
And important to note that Amp has deviated from its strategy of putting Spiva out there on the upwind points. He played that last downwind O point, presumably because it was a high-pressure must-convert situation.
Throwing into traffic. There's a pretty heavy-duty collision. Kyle Khalifa felt like he had position.
I got pivoted around.
I think I went straight up.
That was not a foul.
Yeah, he jumped.
Yeah. I can jump very high.
I believe you, but really high. I think I jumped straight up.
I think you're a bunk on my back. And
okay, here. I had a clear view of the play. Okay, he went up, you came into him, so observe early, it is not a foul. We're starting with a check. We're starting with a check, number 4. I should have said that first.
Well, huge thanks to our crew working hard down there on the field before and during and after the game, getting the observers and the field mic'd up, helping us listen in there. I think Mitch Dangler made the right call. He's been in these settings before.
Bosher floating it deep. Schreiwise can't get this one. Ing right back to Normile across midfield. Backhand over the traffic. And I guess Pat Schreiwise will intercept it. Spencer DeRoos has called a foul.
Would you like my roll? Right. My rolling is that it is a foul. First contact before you cut the 6th round. It's going to be blue disc.
Upholds the call. Amp's disc on the goal line.
It's your disc. You have to have the disc. No, you need the disc in your hand. But
DeRoos. That'll work.
I don't know. This just doesn't feel right to me. Certainly, Space Heater hasn't executed. Faye dropped the score in the end zone, but I just keep going back to that. As we get another look at this one, maybe there was contact before DeRoos went up, some incidental contact on the arms, but to say that there was contact as DeRoos went up, I'm not seeing it, but the observer was right there. The other thing, to continue the earlier thought, is I just can't forget that Linda Morse catch that was not a goal and was clearly out of bounds and that she could have acknowledged. That's really tough to stomach in a sport that prides itself on such great self-officiation and sportsmanship.
You just joined us. Here's what we're referring to. The score was 10-10 when AMP was awarded this break. That was ruled a goal. Clearly a bobble as she stepped out of bounds. Space Heater's disc, there was just what appeared to be an eagle that soared alongside the disc on the pole and came to a stop about 45 yards beyond the end zone down there. Drew the attention of the crowd for a moment. It's a strange time for a flyover at 12-13 in the second half of a semifinal game. Fruin and Trywise playing catch, getting Desmond involved downfield. See Desmond's old team Fury later tonight. Kolick to Freund.
And this is just a handler weave. All the way down the pitch. Kolick once again with that signature step back. Left hand around flick that's so difficult to stop.
So high school friends Kolick and Fay connect for the goal that ties us up at 13. Soft cap has gone off. We're playing a 15 here. And the Cutters waiting patiently for their opportunity as the handler weave expired.
And this is a situation that a lot of teams simulate in practice. It's funny to say that because we know Space Heater hasn't had a ton of practice throughout this weekend, but a game to 2 or a game to 3 is something that coaches and leadership put their teams through at the end of long weekend practices. Looking at Space Heater's line, we've got Duke, David Boyle and Colchin, Allison Maddox, Alan Kolick, Pat Trywise,
Sandy Jorgensen, Crystal Davis out there as well.
And Joe Freund with the pull.
Trisolini, Normile, Spiva, Lake. Anna Thompson begins this point downfield. Bobby Roos in the middle of the stack. Here's Spiva with Johnston on the mark.
You can see Jorgensen peeling off her assignment. Anna Thompson playing center field, help over the top, and now she's coming in.
Spiva gains a chunk, shooting it to the end zone. Normile can't get it. Great defense by Allison Maddox.
Well, it's clear to see that Allison Maddox can still turn heads after her time as a leader on the Scandal D-line, chasing down Normile, a full extension, shoulder high block.
Only the 9th turnover of the game for Philly Amp. And there's the great D to get it back. Nico Lake takes it, and then, goodness gracious, Spiva is a little too careless. With the berth in the finals hanging in the balance. It's Kolek. Off the hands of Jorgensen into the grasp of the bidding Freund. What a play by Freund to maintain possession for his team. Collision in the end zone, Davis to the turf. She pops back up after the pick.
Great anticipation there by Lake jumping that inside lane on the throw to Johnston, and then just Spiva thinks he can reset to Trissolini.
Maddox floating this one into the crowd, and Spiva through the contact, and a foul was called.
Boy, this game has really slowed down as we've gotten to the final 10 minutes.
All right, you guys want me to roll on this? So you're calling a foul here. My ruling is yes, it was a foul. You had to go through his body to first get the disc, so observer is the foul, so it's White's disc right here in your hand. Start the check here. Observer believes it's a foul.
That is a huge call. There's a couple dynamics at play here, Ian. Was there contact? Yes. Did it look like a foul? Do you reward Maddox's throw? That wasn't a good throw? I don't know. But Space Heater will reap the reward of the upheld foul call. The lead 14-13. Crystal Davis puts DC on top by 1.
So Maddox looking like something of a bailout. Boylan Colchin's argument was that Spiva had to come through him to make a play on the disc. It wasn't that Spiva beat him to the spot. It's that he had to go through Boylan Colchin to make that play.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. I don't think anyone's questioning that there was contact.
Nevertheless, it's 14-13 Space Heater. Pretty good semifinal so far today, huh?
Goodness.
Sockeye Pony down to the wire. Mixtape Snake Country down to the wire. The Space Heater break would give them a nice comfortable 15-13 win. Otherwise, we'll play 1 point for a berth in the finals. Amp needs to score 2 in a row. First on offense.
A lot of the same players out there for Space Heater. Crystal Davis, Cody Johnston, Allison Maddox, Joe Freund.
Great job setting up the cut by Mozafari. And she had the open under, but instead sends it into double coverage, and the defenders, Kolek and Jorgensen, both world class. An easy block for DC. Kolek begins the 70-yard march. And Maddox's throw taken down by Morse. Jorgensen just didn't come through to the disc.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say Morse is winning that matchup so far this game.
Reset to Devlin. Great give and go movement from Peleg. And we're tied at 14.
And that's just a tough look. Yes, Jorgensen stopped running, but I do think she was well covered by Morse, and the disc was coming in at a little bit of an awkward angle that didn't allow Jorgensen to accelerate through that disc at full speed. And then Mott just unguarded to the fourth side cone. Come on, guys. It's the semifinals. Berthen, the national championships on the line. Just take that space away, please. Make your coaches happy.
How do they do that? What would your advice be?
When you are defending in the stack, you need to constantly be repositioning so that your body is between the cone on one side and the cutter, the offensive receiver, on the other side. Just put your body in the way so that once they start to take that step, you can run with them, you can absorb a little contact and go with them as they attack that cone. It's mental focus and constant mental repositioning.
Obviously easier said than done against the game's top cutters, but your point is a good one, and this point ahead is a big one because it's going to decide who faces Seattle Mixtape in tomorrow's championship game. And we're going to see the lines. Patrick Sherlock, he's not going to be on the field. He's just getting things situated. Looks basically like a D-line for Amp. Anna Thompson comes jogging on. Carolyn Normile is out there with Spiva and Peleg.
And looking at the Space Heater line, we've got Zach Norbaum, Joe Freund, Claire Desmond, Pat Schreiwise, his wife Georgia Boscher, Jenny Fay, and Ted Seither.
Next point wins. Norbaum. To Freund.
Lots of quick yardage already at midfield.
Oh, tough catch made by Seither. You surprised no Alan Kolick here?
Very surprised.
Schreiwise made the game-winning grab over traffic in the quarterfinals yesterday. Low throw, gobbled up by Boscher. And then she overthrows the dump, looking for Schreiwise. And Amp will take over possession.
And that's at least Boscher's third turnover this game. For someone with such experience and pedigree, you'd expect her to have a little more composure and better execution.
In overtime, each team gets a timeout, so Philadelphia takes their overtime timeout. Just a little out of sync right there on the swing.
So Patrick Sherlock here, very calmly providing instruction and reassurance to his offense. It looks like he's clearly indicating that Mott and Spiva are going to be featured pieces coming out of this timeout.
Push your remote. What?
Another Universe Point semifinal for Philly Amp.
Offensive set. Defense, 20 to start.
Peleg has Normile behind him. Thompson, Ing, DeSabato on the near sideline with Mott and Spiva in the main cutting lane. That throws high, and it's saved. Normile rips it. Spiva, Schreiwise, shoulder to shoulder, and Pat Schreiwise rips it away. And then Freund, another tumbling grab for Space Heater. He had a long stretch of turnover-free ultimate. There have been plenty of turns these last 5 points down the stretch as the momentum pendulum continues to swing. And there was a hand block by Spiva, canceling Schreiwise's throw on the mark. Looking long for Mott. He beat Freund, and Amp is back in the finals at Club Nationals. What a game.
Yeah, and this is just, I can't get over that goal. That wasn't a goal. Linda Morse out of bounds. Sure, the observers had a chance to get it right, but the responsibility still lies on Morse, who knows that she caught that disc out of bounds. This victory has to come with a huge asterisk.
Off the turn, Spiva picks up at midfield. That's a pretty easy throw for a world-class thrower like Nikki Spiva. And Sean Mott, also in his first year with Philly Amp, catches the final 2 goals of the 15-14 semifinal victory. The Space Heater run culminates with a semifinal loss on Universe. It'll be Amp and Mixtape again in the national championship game.
The 2018 USA Ultimate National Championships are presented by VC Ultimate, providing Ultimate's best custom team uniforms and apparel since 1998. Visit VC Ultimate on the web at vcultimate.com. And by Discraft, the official disc of USA Ultimate, now available at Midwest Meyer stores and over 2,000 retailers nationwide.
By the slimmest of margins, Philly Amp over DC Space Heater. These two teams from the same region coming out of the Mid-Atlantic meet in a semifinal, and it comes down to the wire. Nikki Spiva finds Sean Mott for the game winner. Nikki Spiva standing by on the field with Megan Tormey.
Thanks so much, Evan. Nikki, you find yourself going back into the finals at Nationals. How are you feeling?
Just elated. I mean, this is we've been working really hard all year, and I feel like a lot of teams have been cheering us on, and we're just happy to represent the division and keep moving forward.
Tell me what was going through your mind after that back and forth point when you got the hand block on Patrick Schreiwise. You picked up the disc and looked down the field. What were you thinking? What were you seeing?
I heard Mott just yell, "I've got him," when I saw him shooting down the rail, and just knew, like, I didn't want it to be a long, drawn-out thing. I was like, he's got a step, just put a little edge on it, and he made a great grab.
Well, certainly there were some takeaways from this game. What lessons are you going to carry over in tomorrow's final?
I think just stay involved no matter what. You know, they went on runs, we went on runs. There were times where, you know, a team could have easily gotten down where we had to turn over in those last couple points. They had chances to put it away, but the sideline stayed involved. We stayed up, and we got the blocks back. So we're going to try to bring that energy tomorrow.
Well, great effort all down the stretch. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Evan, back to you.
Thanks, Megan. Appreciate the time from Nikki as Philly Amp prevails. Tremendous, tremendous battle between these two teams. Play of the game brought to you by Discraft, home of the Ultra Star. And after the hand block, the game-winning dime.
Yeah, we can't overlook the hand block that got possession. Great defensive awareness by Spiva adapting, and then no hesitation. As soon as he gets possession, as soon as his offense is in place, Mott sets up on the break side, and Spiva shoots deep.
We exaggerate and hyperbolize and talk about how it's a battle for the soul of the division. It is interesting to note the two players that combined for the win are both first-year AMP players. It's not like they've been part of the system. They are great, talented players, too. They can add talent to any team in this division to help win a title. And goodness, AMP mixtape again. The game last year was a true instant classic, and we expect another high-stakes showdown tomorrow.
Yeah, AMP was on the goal line, had the disc in and out of their hands with a chance to win. This is the rematch that AMP has been gunning for since last October.
Speaking of high-stakes showdowns, we got 3 more to go today. The next one will be San Francisco Revolver and Raleigh Ring of Fire. Winner gets pony in the finals tomorrow. The 50th anniversary national championships continue here in San Diego. But for now, for Ian Toner and Megan Tormey, I'm Evan Lepler saying so long from Mira Mesa High School in San Diego. AMP over Space Heater 15-14. All games airing on the ESPN network or streaming live on the ESPN app. To watch the entire game on replay, as well as other games on our family of networks, log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN. AMP by 1 over Space Heater.